Hey guys, Joe here from Wild Aquatics and Exotics. This is the second video in our Introduction to Herptiles series, where we take you step by step through the basic theory of setting up and maintaining your first reptile or amphibian vivarium. In today's video, we're going to go into a bit more detail about vivarium setups and the surrounding theory. So if you want to stay updated on the future videos in this series, don't forget to like and subscribe. To start us off, let's talk about the setup itself. Unless you're going custom made, you will likely be purchasing a vivarium off the shelf, which are usually either made out of glass or made out of wood with a glass front viewing panel. Before we get into the differences in materials, I'd like to make something very clear from the get-go. The biggest way to spend unnecessary money in this hobby is to buy a small viv for a juvenile animal and then upgrade in size later down the line as they grow larger. Not only will you save money, but you will also be providing a more enriching environment for a juvenile animal if you get your final adult-sized viv first time round. Bear in mind as well that many shops have set-sized holding tanks to display their livestock for sale, so this should not be used as a judgment for the appropriate permanent home size for the animal. When sizing up a viv, you need to consider the maximum size of the animal and their activity level. For example, a bearded dragon gets to around 2 foot adult size. Therefore, even frugally, you should be aiming for at least a 5 foot long vivarium. You will also have to provide decorations to climb on as they're quite active. Having a larger viv will also allow for a better heat gradient, which is something we'll touch on later on in the video. In terms of material, wooden vivariums are better at retaining heat but may degrade in humid environments, so are much more suited to arid setups, whereas glass is much more suited to humid rainforest setups. Fortunately, many off-the-shelf setups have lids or canopies which allow for light fittings to be attached to, which brings us on to lighting. Depending on the species you're keeping, there are a couple of different requirements for lighting. Firstly, UVB. All reptiles require UVB lighting to metabolize calcium and prevent metabolic bone disease. Even nocturnal species, such as ball pythons, will require UVB, and as lighting in UVB is a complicated topic, I will go into this in detail in a later video. But for now, just be aware that your Herptile will require some form of UVB bulb. These should be fitted with an automatic plug timer to automate when the lights turn on and off. Remember, UVB bulbs are separate to basking lamps, as the purpose of a UV bulb is not to heat the vivarium. If you have a Herptile that requires a warm basking spot, you will have to purchase, as well as a UVB bulb, a basking lamp. These are very hot bulbs that the reptile will move under to bask in the heat to warm up its body temperature. Most basking lamps give out a light spectrum called infrared, which is a light spectrum that heats objects, and in most cases that would be all you need to heat your vivarium, which brings us on to heating. If you have a basking lamp and it alone is not enough to keep your vivarium at the correct temperature, or if you are keeping a species that does not require a basking lamp, a heat mat or a heat cable will be appropriate. Heater cables lie within the substrate, and heat mats are attached to the glass on either the bottom or the sides. You will also have to provide a heat gradient, which basically means that one side of the tank is warmer than the other. This will allow the Herptile to self-regulate its body temperature by moving from one side of the viv to the other. You should also consider getting an automatic temperature controller or thermostat that will cut off the power to the heater if the vivarium were to overheat. Again, heating will be covered in full in a later video. Next, humidity. All Herptiles require some form of humidity. This is usually done by spraying water in with either a handheld mister or by installing an automated misting system. Even arid species come from areas with infrequent rain, so they will require humidity in order for them to shed their skin properly, but usually regular hand misting will suffice. In rainforest setups where more humidity is required, you can either stick to a very regular schedule of thorough hand misting or purchase an automated misting system. You can measure the amount of humidity with a hygrometer, which is basically a thermometer for humidity. Another part of the setup that is very species specific is the substrate. You will have to do your own research to find out what particular type of soil or sand is best for the Herptile you're keeping. Factors to consider include the ease of cleaning, ability to add plants, and reduce the risk of impaction. All Herptiles will accidentally consume small amounts of substrate when eating, which is very natural. Impaction, however, is when the Herptile cannot process the substrate through its digestive system properly, which can end up clogging the guts and can be fatal. Again, as this is species specific, this will be covered in individual videos. Moving on from the setup, it's worth discussing diet and feeding. Herptiles can have a wide range of diets depending on the species. Firstly, carnivores. Most snakes are strictly carnivorous, meaning that they eat whole prey like rodents, birds, or insects, most of which are sold frozen, which will be kept in your home freezer and be thawed out as and when for feeding. Insectivores. Many lizards require a diet of live insects, such as crickets, mealworms, or fruit flies. You can purchase these from all reptile shops, but it's highly recommended to learn how to culture your own. Herbivores. Some species like tortoises require a mostly vegetable-based diet with specific greens and occasional fruit. And omnivores. Bearded dragons, for example, eat a mix of insects, greens, and fruit depending on their age. You will also have to supplement your Herptiles' diet with multivitamins and extra calcium to ensure they grow properly. This will require you to purchase a powdered supplement and dust it onto the food of the animal before eating. It's very simple, but it should not be a step that should be overlooked or seen as optional. It's essential to research your pet's dietary needs carefully, as improper feeding can lead to nutritional deficiencies or obesity. Keeping reptiles and amphibians is an exciting and rewarding hobby, but it does require careful research and preparation. By choosing the right species, setting up a proper habitat, and understanding their needs, you'll be well on your way to becoming a successful herp keeper. In my next video, I'll go over my recommendations for beginner herptiles to keep, depending on your lifestyle and budget. After that, I will go into some specific detail on the individual aspects of keeping a vivarium. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more reptile and amphibian care guides, and if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.